I am so sick and tired of having to use the word another. Another barge has hit another bridge, this time in Galveston, Texas. So I got a DM on Instagram from Jessica. She sends me a link to a article. You guys can kind of see here. This is the DM that I got from Jessica. And it says, the link to the article says, Pelican Island Causeway closed in both directions due to barge hitting the bridge, City of Galveston confirms. So of course I'm like, thank you, because she was one of the first ones to let me know that this has happened. And she says, the only way on or off the island is boat. Side note, Texas A&M University is on this island, which I did not know that that was the case. So of course, the first thing I do is start looking. You guys were giving me heads up like crazy. On yesterday's video, you were leaving comments right when this happened. I believe it was around 10:30 a.m. in Texas time, and people started leaving comments. Hey, Michelle, another bridge, another barge, again, it's happening again. And it's like, when does it stop? You guys remember, for one whole year it was, fires, and then another year it was explosions. Then we had train derailments, and this is the year of barges and bridges, which sucks. We're only like a fourth of the way through the year. There's still a third of the way through the year. There's still 2/3 of the year left to go. How many more barges are going to hit bridges? So I started looking a bunch of stuff up. I had a comment that came through yesterday. This is actually on a video on a different channel with my husband. And this comment came through. It said, thank God it wasn't the main bridge out of Galveston with hurricane season coming. This is from CWA 69143. The downside to YouTube is that it doesn't give you the names next to people. Most of the time it gives you an @ so I don't know her name, and I apologize for that. But it says, I live like 10 minutes from Galveston, and if the causeway took on damage, that would be extremely bad, because then people would be forced to use the ferry, which is exactly what happened for the students at Texas A&M. In order to get off Pelican Island, they were forced to use a ferry for a little while because they had the entire roadway closed down after this barge hit this bridge. Now, another comment that came through says, I live in Texas and saw it on the news. It was too wide to go through the pillars, if you ask me. So let me show you exactly what we're talking about here. Let me see if I can zoom into this. This is the barge that has hit the bridge. You guys can see right there, that's the barge on the bottom. You can see, let me see if I can get this to work, where this section of bridge from here to over on the other side has collapsed technically. Well, the good news-ish is that it wasn't actually the bridge, the drivable part, that collapsed. It was, however, a railway part of the bridge that collapsed. So I put a bunch of notes here. I'm trying to keep them all in order, but y'all know how I work. So let's go to this. Here's basically the key takeaways. A barge collision with a bridge pillar in Galveston, Texas caused an oil spill in the waterway, resulting in the closure of the only road to Pelican Island. That to me is a big deal, and you'll see why in just a moment. The accident, which occurred due to a tugboat operator losing control of 2 barges, did not result in any injuries, but led to the shutdown of a stretch of waterway for cleanup efforts. One of the people on one of the barges fell off the barge during the collision, but was soon pulled back up onto the barge. So technically no injuries, nothing like that. The Pelican Island Causeway Bridge, which was rated as poor in the Federal Highway Administration's 2023 National Bridge Inventory, was scheduled for replacement in 2025 due to reaching the end of its design lifespan. Remember how we talked about this previously on other, incidences that have happened? And it just seems to be a really good way to get federal money to cover local money, so that taxpayer money isn't going towards something, or to get another company like whoever owns the barge, which would be, what did they say it was? Milton Petrochemicals? No, I have it in here somewhere. I'll figure it out in a second. But whoever caused the accident now will have to pay, instead of taxpayers having to pay to fix this bridge that was scheduled for not demolished, but to be completely redone in 2025. It's a lot of money. It's just always interesting to me when these things happen on areas that need work. The Oceanside Pier Bridge, which was scheduled to have a ton, like millions upon millions of dollars work. I think it was $65 million of work done next year. Oceanside Pier in California. We talked about it when it started burning out of nowhere, just caught fire, right? The restaurant on it that has been abandoned and not used. Okay. And it just happened to be on a place where now federal money is going to help, because they Oceanside area declared a state of emergency, which when you declare a state of emergency, you can get federal help. So if for any reason in the next day or two, Galveston, Texas declares a state of emergency over this bridge due to the fact that there is an oil spill, it then gives them the ability, because it's a state of emergency, to request federal help, so that they are not coming out of pocket to fix anything. It then helps also the company that ran into the barge, whether it's the tugboat company or it's the barge company. That's going to be a back and forth, I'm pretty sure, between the two companies on whose fault it was, right? They said it was because the tugboat lost control. I don't know why one tugboat had two barges. I'm not in the tugboat companies, and I'm not in barging, so I don't think that's the correct way to phrase that. So I don't really know if one tugboat per barge is normal or one tugboat for two barges. We saw in Baltimore at the Francis Scott Key Bridge, when that collapse happened due to the dolly hitting it, they had two tugboats, one on each end, I believe, that was trying to move the dolly, and then the tugboats left, and then all of a sudden, disaster. I'm just, it is what it is. I don't even know where to go with some of these things, because it's like the irony and the coincidence and just everything starts to add up and make you go, are you serious right now? I am no longer surprised when somebody goes, hey, another bridge was hit, another barge hit another bridge. And I'm like, well, here we go again. Two words I'm tired of, another and again. According to this, let's see, let me pull up an actual article here, see if we can get some more information. Barge hits bridge connecting Galveston and Pelican Island, causing partial collapse and oil spill. This is on, who is this? AP, Associated Press. So, grain of salt here. A barge slammed into a bridge pillar in Galveston, Texas on yesterday, spilling oil into waters near busy shipping channels and closing the only road to a small neighboring island. No injuries were reported. The impact sent pieces of the bridge, which connects Galveston to Pelican Island, tumbling on top of the barge and shut down a stretch of waterway so crews could clean up the spill. The accident knocked one man off the vessel and into the water, but he was quickly recovered and was not injured. Ports along the Texas coast are hubs of international trade, but experts said the collision was unlikely to result in serious economic disruptions since it occurred in a lesser used waterway. So at least there is that silver lining that we talk about here all the time. There's always, hopefully, a silver lining. This is the silver lining there. The island is on the opposite side of Galveston's beaches that draw millions of tourists each year. Literally, as the first comment said, imagine if it had been on the other side, on one of the main causeways. If you would have a Francis Scott Key Bridge thing happening all over again, because that bridge into Baltimore is huge. 1 million people a year traveling on that thing, and now it's defunct, out of commission until they can rebuild it, right? So that's that one. Figure out how to get back to what I was doing. Where was I? Me and iPads don't get along sometimes. How do I get back to my news thing? Oh, there we go. Work with me here, people. Thank you so much for being patient with me. So according to this, Galveston Fire spokesperson Marissa Barnett said barges go under the bridge multiple times a day. And I hear that. But when you look at the picture of it, and I don't have really a better picture except for the one I showed you, the width of the barge and the width between those two pillars, that was going to be the tightest squeeze in the history of tight squeezes. That I want to do it. That's what she said. That's what he said joke, but that's inappropriate right now. So I won't do it. But that is, to me, really, because the bridge doesn't open. There's no opening of the bridge. There's none of that. It literally has to skirt in between these two little pillars. And that feels very unrealistic. But according to this, I was curious how you get to Pelican Island, Texas, right? Take I-45 south to Galveston, turn left onto 51st Street, and continue over the bridge to Pelican Island. This road will end at Seawolf Park. After dark, all park visitors must purchase a fishing band, fishing or not. Okay, that's just information in case anybody wants to know it. Now, the tugboat in Texas was pushing bunker barges, which are fuel barges for ships. This is according to a person named Flores. The barge, which is owned by Martin Petroleum, is that what I said? Did I get it right the first time? Martin Petroleum has a 30,000 gallon capacity, but it's not clear how much leaked into the bay. This is according to Galveston County spokesperson Spencer Lewis. This was 9 hours ago. I was looking for updates before I left to come. Yeah, I'm at Sam's Club. I got to go get some stuff, but I was looking for updates and I couldn't find anything within the last hour or two by the time I left. There may be updates at this point. If there are updates after all of this, I'll add them into tomorrow's video. But for now, this is what we know. This is what I have, right? Flores said, so this is what was very interesting to me. Flores said the rail line, which is the part that collapsed of the bridge that was leading from Galveston into Pelican, right? Flores said the rail line only serves as protection for the structure and has never been used. Opened in 1960, the Pelican Island Causeway Bridge was rated as poor, according to Federal Highway Administration's 2023 National Bridge Inventory released last June. So you can see here, they had people already kind of up on the bridge trying to kind of assess the damage. And just that small section is what has fallen or collapsed. So it's not a huge deal. This is not at all on par with the Francis Scott Key Bridge. This is not at all detrimental like that, except for the fact that they did have to close everything down on in and out of Pelican Island, right? Now, the accident happened shortly before 10 a.m. after a tugboat operator pushing two barges lost control of them. This is, again, according to Flores, who is a bridge superintendent with the Galveston County Navigation District. The current was very bad and the tide was high. He lost it. If the current is very bad and the tide is very high, why do you have one tugboat pulling two barges? That is my question. Do you not have more tugboats than that? Could one barge not wait? So if you knew that there were rough conditions, bad conditions, and there's possibly a scenario where something like this could happen, why would you not take more precautions? Why would you let it go on this way? Just my first thought. Pelican Island is only a few miles wide and is home to Texas A&M University at Galveston, a large shipyard and industrial facilities. Fewer than 200 people were on the campus, so that's a plus, when the collapse happened, and all were eventually allowed to drive on the bridge to leave. So they were allowed to leave the island because it was on the opposite side, from what I'm gathering, of where the actual collapse part happened. The Marine and Maritime Research Institute said it plans to remain closed until at least on Friday, which would be tomorrow. Students who live on campus were allowed to remain there. Here's the kicker for me right here. But university officials warned those who live on campus and leave should be prepared to remain off campus for an unknown period of time. Why? Why do you need to remain off campus for an unknown period of time? If you're trying to fix the side with the railway on it, why can you not use the other side of the bridge? It doesn't look like there's actual structural damage to anything else. They only hit one pillar. Obviously, they have to check. But with everything that's going on at campuses right now, college campuses, I just found it very ironic that that is what happened and what's connected to it. The fact that the college is connected to it. You have all these Palestinian protests and pro-Palestinian and everything else protests going on right now. You have colleges where parents have spent thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars to send their kids to colleges to get their education. You have these schools that are going online only because of all of the havoc that's going on campuses right now with all these protests and everything else, with police having to show up. And then you even have colleges who are canceling their commencement, commencement ceremony or graduation ceremony. Commencement's beginning, right? Graduation would be end. I didn't go to college, shocker, but I didn't go, just so you guys know, if I haven't told you already. I was like, I would rather be hands-on with stuff than get a degree in things and whatever. It's another story. But there are plenty of colleges who are now canceling their graduations because of the pro-Palestinian protests. And it's like these people are getting screwed out of one of the biggest things in their lives, just like when seniors in high school didn't get to graduate or walk because of COVID. I mean, that's horrific. Like, so many people look forward to that moment they work so hard for, and here it is being taken away. And that's what's happening to a lot of colleges. So the fact that this is a college campus and they're like, if you leave, you're not gonna be able to come back in, that just it sat wrong with me because of everything that's going on with college campuses lately. Now, according to this, opened in 1960, the Pelican Island Causeway Bridge was rated as poor, which we've already discussed. The overall rating of a bridge is based on whether the condition of its individual components, the deck, superstructure, substructure, or culvert, if present, is rated poor or below. In the case of the Pelican Island Causeway Bridge, inspectors rated the deck in satisfactory condition, the substructure in fair condition, and the superstructure, or the component that absorbs the live traffic load, in poor condition. I don't know why they were still letting people drive on this thing to begin with, okay? The Texas Department of Transportation had been scheduled in the summer of 2025 to begin construction on a project to replace the bridge with a new one. The project was estimated to cost $194 million. In documents provided during a virtual public meeting last year, the department said the bridge has reached the end of its design lifespan and needs to be replaced. The agency said it has spent over $12 million already performing maintenance and repairs on the bridge in the past decade. So again, When we see these things happen, and we know that they're supposed to be getting work done and paying for stuff like that, my first thought is this was done on purpose. Some tugboat company's about to take the fall for it, but this was definitely done on purpose in my opinion. I can't really say on purpose in my opinion. It looks shady in my opinion, and if it was done on purpose, it wouldn't surprise me. How about that? Let's go with that. So that's what has happened in Galveston, Texas. For those of you who were leaving comments on videos yesterday, I appreciate you immensely. For those of you who sent me everything over on Patreon, like links to things and let me know ahead of time, I think that's the first place where I heard about it. Thank you. And then obviously Jessica and some others over on Instagram and DMs. Thank you for that. I will keep an eye on it. I'm very curious again, what's going to happen with who's going to pay now for this bridge. Is Galveston, Texas? Is Texas still going to pay $194 million for this bridge, or federal money going to come into play? Or is it going to be up to Martin Petroleum, or is it going to be up to the tugboat company? This is where, to me, the big deal, the big scheme of everything falls is in the money, because profits over people, everything comes down to money at the end of the day. I was going to give you guys an update on the Francis Scott Key Bridge, like a small one, but I think I'm going to do a bigger one for you tomorrow because I came across some more information and I think it deserves its own thing. So come back tomorrow for that, plus other stuff. Now for me to run into Sam's Club and potty and get some stuff for the house. I love you all immensely, Squirrel Tribe. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will see you guys again maybe later today, but definitely tomorrow. Bye.